Hello everyone, it's Brandon here again for another video. Today's video, I was having a little trouble sleeping and was just watching a video about free will versus, determinism and how that relates to things. And, that's really something to discover for yourself. You won't really know the answer until you start seeing how it works. But figured I'd give you guys a little technique you can try, and it's very basic as far as the mechanics of the technique. That's what we're going to be doing, what I'm doing right there. But the perceptual abilities that you have, your baseline state of consciousness, or your state of consciousness in some like meditative or psychedelic state, whenever you're going to try this, are all going to have a huge impact on how much traction you're going to be able to make. There are many people in Buddhism, specifically like in the Theravada four-path model, where the fourth path is quote unquote full enlightenment, at least when it comes to the insight and wisdom axis of enlightenment. Anyway, these people say that in the last stage, of third path, a lot of people find a huge benefit in doing practices and just observation and inquiry into this type stuff. But it helps at any level. I'm completely convinced, no matter what level you're at spiritually, even if this is the first video you've ever seen of spirituality, if you do this practice, it'll probably leave at the very minimum some tiny imprint in your life. So anyway, let's just do the basic thing, the basic technique real quick so you guys know it, and then I can talk more about what you can hope to see, what you can look for, and how you're making progress. So the basic technique, it's literally going to be, you're gonna sit down, free from distractions, hopefully, unless you're quite experienced with things, and then distractions won't really quite matter. Those can even fuel this more. But for most people, sit down without distractions, quiet room, everything, and we're just going to bring our hand in front of us, and you're just going to look at the hand, and slowly you're going to make if I can get my camera focus here, you're slowly going to just think, I want to move the hand. And this doesn't have to be with a verbal thought in your mind or anything like that, but you just feel that you are making the choice to move the hand. And while this, you can throw in tons of other spiritual elements. You can do this faster, you can really slow it down. Slowing it down might make it easier to really notice the details. But one of the main things with doing this technique is you can start to think about how things are happening in time. What me is telling the hand to move? Is the me that chose for the hand to move the same me that is witnessing the hand moving? Is there a me? If you've gone into any of the no-self schools of spirituality, you can really consider that. Or if you're really into the self schools, like God and the universe and stuff, being like really big focuses, you can think, what am I that even is moving the hand? If I'm not separated from anything, is my carpet moving the hand? It can get you along a lot of different modes of inquiry. So there's a lot that you could find out by just sitting down and moving your hand. And I think this kind of approach might be a nice break for a lot of people who are just meditating or doing normal self-inquiry, just something to mix it up. And it's going to produce results. How big those results are depends on a myriad of factors. It's a gigantic list. Literally, it's an infinite list for each person who's listening to this video. Are the number of factors that are going to go into, how effective is this going to be for you? So I can't promise it's going to like give you some instant awakening, but the right person at the right stage, maybe just doing that practice could literally trigger their awakening to fourth path, or what, the Theravadan Buddhists say, or Theravada Buddhists, however you say that. Don't know if you add an N there. Anyway, if you're in third path in that system, a lot of people have reported getting huge results from doing that. So I wouldn't think it's too far-fetched to say that someone doing that specific technique, right as I presented it, could literally give someone their permanent awakening or permanent enlightenment. If such a thing exists, maybe you believe in that or not. Some people do, and they report that these types of activities made huge progress for them. And I would say for myself, it has as well. It doesn't have to be like sitting on your couch, though. You can do this kind of stuff all the time. Every time you're moving. Every time when you go to take a shit, when you go to work, when you're driving your car, maybe not if it's really effective for you, maybe don't do it while you're driving your car, because you might get too awake that it's actually going to cause a problem. A lot of people don't stress that enough, that doing these types of deep awakening practices while driving, vehicles, or doing other such things which would have a similar risk. It is a thing to consider. Maybe I shouldn't be doing such a thing at this time, unless you really feel like you're on solid ground and you can handle it, and you're not in some type of giant state. But you never know when an awakening is going to hit you when you're doing practices like this. Awakenings really always come suddenly, even if there's a cause. You don't know the second that it's going to hit. You don't know how strong it's going to hit. It can always be 10 times, 100 times stronger than anything you've ever accessed before, with pretty much no reasoning behind it in some cases. But that's kind of a side note. So yeah, this is the benefits of this are really going to be focused around doership. And you'll see a lot of benefits when you're considering, either when you have a very developed sense of what self is for you, that's pretty spiritually mature in its functioning. So that's when you'll probably really hit traction. Whether that be more like no self-thinking, or, self, like all consciousness is me thinking. Either of them can probably produce pretty good results with this. Although most of the people I hear really saying good results come from this have been more on the no self side of things, Buddhist practice and things of that nature. But yeah, we're kind of doing this to hopefully get more glimpses into non-doership. Non-doership, when it becomes very deep, is very profound. To be honest, I don't really feel like I'm recording this video right now. Of course, there is an appearance that I am, and even the sensations of making the movements are all still pretty much there. Although there might be some very subtle sensations that were tied to doership that aren't. But a lot of it still operates the same, yet the doership, or so much of it, is just gone, to where this is like an automatic flowing machine, like running. But it's like a me machine that's running like the old me, okay? And it's like the me machine starts running actually even better once doership becomes relinquished more and more. Because there's also, at these levels of spiritual development, there's way less aversion to difficult situations. And when there's less aversion, you can do harder stuff. You can work longer at work. You can have harder conversations with people. You could do so many other things. You know, you're so much further from how close you felt to suffering in the past, is one big thing that happens with aversion. Obviously, the other side of things is, you know, attraction becomes much different. You know, what you're kind of pulled toward. And a big thing for me is it really just transforms into higher objects of attraction. It's not like attraction completely moves away, and also it's not like aversion completely goes away. It's just the things that you're averse to have gone from like hard human situations, or like hard emotional sensations like depression or whatever, or anxiety. Like, you can handle those, but you might not, you're still probably pretty averse to like eating feces. So it's a process. It's a very radical process. And honestly, my daily life completely astounds me now. It completely astounds me every single day. I have no idea what each day will bring, but you know, I was just completely sober earlier tonight. Like, had done some listening to music, which is now like a super effective meditation for me. It's just chilling and listening to music. And I'm just, I start listening to a little bit of Frank Yang video, and, you know, of course, on spiritual stuff. And life is just and, you know, I had a very severe fear of the dark, and I was just like standing in my kitchen, just pitch dark. It sounds like such an easy thing for me, you know, having an alien abduction experience at age 8. It's not easy to be in the dark, just saying. Whether it was some, you know, fake experience or real experience in my mind or whatever it was equally traumatic, no matter what the setup or cause was or how it happened. The level of trauma was the same. So anyway, very strong fear of dark. And just sitting there with his teachings thinking, you know, ultimately, more than thinking, also feeling this to be true, but not self, not self, not self. You know, like worried about my body, well, not self. Worried about my mind, oh, not self. Worried about my soul, well, not self. You know, and with having this kind of running, the fear of, you know, some alien abduction arising reduces. It doesn't mean it's zero. It doesn't mean it's zero. And honestly, it's like the character aspect of Brandon Rowe. If we say I had complete no self-realization, that doesn't mean necessarily the character Brandon Rowe would completely, immediately lose the that type of a viewpoint on or the relationship with like physical aliens coming into my room, I'd be pretty fucked if it happened, just being honest. And I see that to be true even if I reached fourth path or whatever, that would be there. Do I have a fear of death? No, I already don't have a fear of death. The fear of like a lot of these different things and your phobias aren't even even if it is like related to dying or something. You could have overcome the fear of death and still be scared of these things which happen in existence. Even if death is an element, it's more the other aspects of the thing that give you the fear. You know, when you're afraid of tarantulas, it's not necessarily that you think the tarantula will kill you. Maybe some people do. But, I mean, scientifically, I think most people would survive a tarantula bite, especially if you're anywhere near a hospital, which, you know, a lot of the time people end up getting to them fast enough in spider bites. But I think tarantulas aren't really super potent. It's not like a black widow. Anyway, we're getting into other stuff. So let's just move on from that topic. Yeah, basically, you can still have a bunch of fears. A lot of these are kind of burned in at an instinctual level. They take a lot more work to remove than just gaining ridiculous levels of permanent awakening that make you feel like you're in some dreamscape, zero gravity, infinite space in all moments, like you know, infinite consciousness at all moments. So basically the boundless space and boundless consciousness aspects of the fifth and sixth jhana are always as accessible to me, like pretty much at the snap of a finger, and, you know, zero gravity type deal. Emptiness, pretty accessible. Luminosity, accessible. So many different things. My normal life is completely transformed. And if I'm to use psychedelics on top of this, it's incredibly radical. I've really stopped doing psychedelics nearly as much because I'm already pretty okay with the level of progress I'm getting without them. I mean, it's really radical. I get to psychedelic states some of the time just meditating. Honestly, I got to something I would consider beyond psychedelic states in a lot of ways. And I didn't even meditate that day or anything. I was just with a friend, and we actually have a connection when it comes to our spiritual energy, and it's happened several times. And this time it triggered a big thing for me. I thought it was the full thing. I thought it was fourth path. And there is a possibility it was, and then I'm too doubtful of myself because I did overcall fourth path a few months ago, after I first hit stream entry and stuff, because my stream entry occurred in a situation which really appeared to be Nirodha Samapati, which occurs only for anagamis who are third path or arahants who are fourth path. And yeah, I don't want to overcall stuff. I want to really check it. Like, if I'm actually somewhere, I really want to make sure. And I'm never claiming, you know, just so you know, if anybody's watching this and cares, I'm never claiming that I'm an arahant in someone else's system of definitions. It's in the one that I'm familiar with and that I'm speaking under, which is mainly like the Daniel Ingram, Frank Yang style approach, whether you like it or hate it. I think their stuff is very good. What I've seen in other places, I'm not as impressed right now. Specifically, Frank Yang's stuff really speaks to me, because the intensity of his experiences are closer to my authentic experience. Other people who seem to reach these paths, they don't describe things as being that intense as I'm accessing them. And so I feel a bit of a connection to Frank on that regard, and also just what he says stands up to the trials that I give it. What he says produces a lot of results. So, yeah, that was the talk. Basically, it was a quick technique and then a little bit of a monologue for a while. Oh, and holding a phone while recording always sucks, doesn't it? So, thanks for watching, guys. Brandon Rowe out.